Blockbuster was once the king of home entertainment. In the 1990s, it dominated the movie rental industry like no other company in the world. With thousands of stores across the globe, Blockbuster became a weekend tradition for millions of families. On a Friday night, their stores were filled with life. People walked through aisles of VHS tapes, searching for their next movie. The experience was simple: pick a movie, take it home, and return it later. At its peak, Blockbuster had over 9,000 stores worldwide. It was a billion-dollar empire, and it seemed impossible to compete with. But while Blockbuster was focused on expanding its stores, something was quietly changing. The internet was growing, technology was evolving, and a new way of consuming media was beginning to emerge. In the early 2000s, a small company approached Blockbuster with an idea. That company was Netflix. They offered a partnership, even a chance for Blockbuster to buy them for around $50 million. Blockbuster laughed. Why would they invest in a small startup? Why would they abandon a business model that was already working so well? They believed their dominance would last forever. But the world was already shifting. Late fees, which were once a major source of revenue, had started to frustrate customers. People wanted convenience. They wanted something faster, easier, and more flexible. And Blockbuster didn't adapt. Year by year, the stores became quieter. The long lines disappeared. The shelves remained full, but the customers were gone. Meanwhile, technology continued to move forward. Streaming was coming, and Blockbuster was not ready. By the late 2000s, the company was in serious trouble. Stores began closing. Locations vanished one by one. What was once a global empire slowly collapsed under its own weight. Blockbuster, the company that once defined an entire industry, disappeared. A giant that failed to see the future. But while Blockbuster was collapsing, something new was already taking its place. A small company, once ignored and underestimated, was quietly building the future of entertainment. That company was Netflix. With the end of Blockbuster, a new era was started by Netflix. While Blockbuster was fading away, a new kind of company was just getting started. Netflix began in the late 1990s with a simple but powerful idea: rent DVDs online and deliver them directly to people's homes. No stores, no late fees, no stress. At first, it seemed like a small and risky business. Compared to Blockbuster, Netflix was almost invisible. But Netflix wasn't trying to compete in the same way. They were building something different. Instead of physical locations, they focused on convenience. Instead of late fees, they offered subscriptions. Instead of tradition, they embraced change. And most importantly, they understood where the world was going. As internet speeds improved, Netflix made a bold and risky decision. They moved away from DVDs and into streaming. Entertainment became on demand. This completely changed how people consumed media. And while other companies hesitated, Netflix kept moving forward. They invested in technology, they expanded globally, and eventually they began creating their own original content, shows and movies that people couldn't find anywhere else. This gave Netflix something powerful: control. They were no longer just a platform. They were becoming a studio, and with every step, they moved further ahead of their competitors. What started as a small idea turned into one of the most powerful companies in the world. Netflix didn't just survive the digital revolution. It led it. And in doing so, it replaced a giant that once seemed impossible to defeat. But Netflix didn't stop there. As the platform grew, it began to collect something even more valuable than content: data. Every click, every pause, every show people watched was carefully analyzed. Netflix started to understand its audience better than anyone else. They knew what people liked, what they skipped, what kept them watching. And then they made another bold move. Instead of just streaming content, they began creating it. Original shows, exclusive movies, stories that people couldn't find anywhere else. This changed everything. Netflix was no longer just a platform, it became a creator. And with that, it gained control over the entire experience. While traditional companies were still trying to catch up, Netflix was already ahead, expanding into new countries, reaching millions, then hundreds of millions of viewers. What started as a small idea in the late 90s became a global entertainment powerhouse. And in the process, it didn't just replace Blockbuster. It completely redefined how the world watches content. We have seen how Netflix replaced Blockbuster. Follow us for more business stories.